Thank you so much for joining us on this week's Good News. We are sitting down with Wendy Hensley, the executive director for CASA of Northeast Tennessee. And what they are doing right now is good news. So, Wendy, can you tell me a little bit about, for someone listening right now or watching this, can you explain a little bit about what CASA is doing in our community right now?
Sure, I'll be glad to. Thank you for having me and asking me to explain because we are doing great things over at CASA and making an impact for children in Northeast Tennessee. Um, CASA stands for Court Appointed Special Advocates. It's a national program. Our office works with Unicoi, Washington, and Greene counties. CASA for Kids is also a great program that works in Sullivan and Hawkins County, so much of East Tennessee is covered by CASA. We are invited into juvenile court by the local judges who appoint us to child abuse and or neglect cases. And we trained volunteers who then stand for those kids in court. So when those kids' court dates come up, when those court cases come up and it has to be heard before the judge, those kids always have someone on their side standing up on their behalf in court.
Okay, that's awesome. So you really advocate for these kids, and you work, I'm assuming alongside maybe foster care or
We
DCS.
do.
Okay, awesome.
We do.
Very cool. So what all with you say you advocate for these kids. What all does that mean exactly? Because a lot of people, I mean, I wasn't familiar really with the foster system and stuff until my wife actually, she's a foster care worker for Washington County.
Oh,
So
awesome.
until she got involved, and I was like, oh my goodness, I didn't know exactly what that goes on. So could you explain a little bit what that means specifically for those who don't really know much about it?
Okay, sure. Yeah, so when a case comes into the court system and there is Department of Children's Services involvement, they do a great job working with and protecting our children. We come in to support that child and to kind of look at the picture just from the child's point of view. What can we see that's going on in that child's life that maybe the court hasn't had a chance to see, or maybe DCS with their gigantic caseloads hasn't had a chance to look into. You understand that, I'm
Yes.
sure.
Oh yeah.
Um, so we come in to support those efforts and to look strictly at things from the child's perspective. And then we take that to the judge and say, here's what we think would be great for this child and how this would work. Maybe it's that we've noticed something is going on with mom and maybe she needs some mental health treatment that hasn't previously been seen. And we can kind of facilitate that happening to support that family and to get that child back into a safe and stable environment. Um, Children who have a CASA representative spend less time in foster care because CASA does work to look for the stable housing environment, the stable and safe housing environment for those children. So that's a huge success for CASA, and something that we're very proud of is that we do want to stabilize a child's life because we know that the more transitions and the more moves they have, the more stress that they have that they carry into their adult life and adult decision making. So we work to decrease that.
Yeah. Okay. That's awesome. Yeah. For those of you who don't know the foster system, it's a very difficult um, environment to be in. So I appreciate y'all really being focused on those kids because the DCS workers, I mean, my wife's a DCS worker, so I know the amount of stuff that's going on and the amount that they have to, try to focus on the parents, the foster parents, the kids, and all the other kids and everything. It makes it really difficult, and they definitely do the best they can. But having, an organization like CASA that's able to really focus on these kids can relieve a lot of that stress from a foster care worker and from the others as well, just to make sure that these kids are taken care of and that, hopefully they get into safe, stable environment as soon as possible. So that's awesome. Really appreciate what you all are doing.
Thank you. Well, one of the great things about CASA, Christian, is that we serve about 300 children a year
Wow.
in 3 counties. We're in 4 juvenile courts. Washington County and Johnson City both have a court. So we're in 4 juvenile courts. We serve about 300 kids a year. That's, of course, a small representation of the cases that actually come before the judge, but these are cases that are deemed appropriate for CASA. We only have 5 staff members. We
Wow.
do this, all of this advocating and all of this work for children is done through trained volunteers. So part of our good news is that people in the community step up and say, hey, I can spend 10 hours a month standing up and advocating for a child.
Yeah.
The role of the 5 staff members is to fully train and support those volunteers so that they are never on their own. They never have to worry about, if they're doing the right thing, they're not making decisions on their own. We support them in that. But it really increases our impact on how many children we can serve.
Okay, that's awesome. I didn't know you had so many volunteers as well. Now, with that being said, if someone's listening right now, they want to get involved and want to advocate for a child, what are the ways that they can connect with you to maybe start that process?
We are always looking for volunteers. Always. We have a tremendous need for volunteers right now because of the global pandemic and the added stress that is on adults. Of course, that trickles down onto our children. And so there are so many situations coming up where a CASA advocate is needed. And unfortunately, we don't have an advocate for every case right now. And we do have cases waiting. So if someone is interested in taking that first step, they can contact us through our Facebook page, CASA of Northeast Tennessee. We're very active on there. If someone wants to just get on there and follow us for a while and kind of see what we're all about, to learn more about us, that's a great way to do that. They can give our office a call at 461-3500. They can give us a call and we'll call them back. Of course, we screen our volunteers, everyone's background checked and that kind of thing. And then we have a training process. We actually have a training come up, I believe it's January 16th. It's going to be over 2 Saturdays. So we'll spend the day together, either on Zoom or in person. That remains to be seen. You're hopeful for a little bit of in person, but it's awfully close to now. So who knows? But yeah, we're going to start training people. And so if anyone's interested, we've got a couple of weeks here to get them signed up. Give us a call, shout out to us on Facebook or Instagram or Twitter, and let's get it started.
Okay, that'd be awesome. I'll in the description of this video, I'll put the phone number and the Facebook page. So if you're listening right now, not watching this video, head over to our YouTube channel, WCQR on YouTube, and the phone number and Facebook, it will all be in there, so you can contact CASA and get a part and be a part of the amazing stuff that they are doing right now. Now, Wendy, I love stories. I love hearing stories because that's, what I believe really connects us to what's going on. So I'd love to hear maybe a story of how CASA was started, or a story of lives being changed because of it.
Okay. Excuse me. So I will tell you a little bit about both of those. CASA was started in 1977 in Washington. Judge David Sokup had a case of a little girl, and he noticed that the courtroom was filled full of people in this abuse case, but no one was there specifically to stand for that child. So he kind of felt like, a little tug in his heart, something can be done here. So he called to his community and said, if anyone would be willing to stand up just on behalf of these kids in this community, will you please meet me at such and such time? Much to his surprise, 50 people showed up to stand up for this little girl. Her life was changed. She had a CASA advocate. CASA advocates, once they take a case, they stay with the kid the entire time that they have a case in court. So they always know that that's someone they can count on. And the CASA program was born just out of this judge recognizing a need, and now we're all over the country. 54 counties in the state of Tennessee have CASA, and that is growing. All states but 2 have CASA. So it's a huge program making an impact all over the place. Locally, we have impacted lots of lives. 300 kids a year. I wish that I could say every single case we serve is a success story, but there are some that we are hoping that we got them baby steps to a better life. But I can tell you, we have made positive impacts on all of those cases in some way or another. One particular story that comes to mind is a family of a child who was not able to stay with their mom, and it was unclear what was going on with her, and why she was struggling with to take care of her child. And through the work of the CASA, it was discovered that she needed support for an addiction issue. And that was able to be arranged through the court system, through some wonderful social workers doing their thing. That was arranged. And after a 1-year sobriety, that family was reunited. Wow. And a complete success story. They're doing great. And it was the work of the CASA worker and the relationship that CASA worker was able to build with the child that got that, that facilitated and that going. And, that's a common theme. Parents have things going on, and it spills over into our families.
Yeah. Wow. That's amazing. I love hearing that. Now that CASA worker, that was a volunteer, right?
Absolutely. That was a volunteer, someone who just gave their time. We're looking at the beginning of a case, a maximum of 10 hours a month.
Wow. That's not much at all.
No, it's not. And then as cases back off, it's less time than that. And it can feel so intimidating to think, I'm going to stand up in court and stand before the judge. But that's what the CASA staff there is for. We are careful to support and to make sure that everyone's thoroughly trained, and we provide training opportunities throughout the year to keep everyone up to date on trends and things that are going on and laws that may change. So we baby step together, and we work for the good of these kids.
Yeah, that's amazing. I love that. I love that it's just a volunteer, though. It's someone who, maybe they're a part-time worker, or maybe they're a full-time mom and they want to, maybe do a little bit more and want to help out these kids. But they don't have a lot of time on their hands because, I know personally I'm a father of 3. So being a parent to kids, especially if you're a full-time parent, that's not easy. Definitely not easy at all. So, but a few hours a month and making a difference in some additional kids' lives is amazing.
It's amazing. And we have all walks of life. We have folks who are retired. We have folks who are stay-at-home parents. We have people who have never had children of their own, but care enough to invest in the lives of other people's children. Grandparents, single people, married people. We have lots of different demographics, and it works. That's what awesome. Makes it work.
I love that. Now I'd like to know how you got involved with CASA.
Well, that's a great question. I had a friend who worked there who talked me into volunteering to help with a fundraiser. And after that was it. I was sold. When a position became available, I applied to work. But I was helping with fundraising and just kind of plugging along with that. And kind of God made it happen that the timing was right for me to come in.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Now, for someone listening right now who maybe they are a little bit like, I'd love to, but that does sound intimidating, going in front of a judge. What would you want to say to them right now? Those are listening that might be, thinking about taking that step and helping out and advocating for a kid, but maybe they're a little bit, have some reserves. What would you say to them?
I would say just to remember that the first step is not going in front of the judge. The first step is just reaching out and learning more about CASA and learning about what we do and learning more about children and how you can impact children, the lives of children and families. So focus on one step at a time. Don't try to think, how will I be able to do what I need to do 3 months from now? Because 3 months from now, you will be prepared, because the CASA staff will make sure that you are prepared.
Okay, that's awesome. I love that. And again, if you're listening right now, make sure you head over to our YouTube channel, WCQR on YouTube, so you can see the links to get involved, and to contact Wendy to maybe start the process of training and really advocating for these kids. Because I mean, we know it. They need the help. They need someone advocating for them, and many people advocating for them. Because I know the caseworkers do what they can, but the more the merrier. Like let's get a bunch more people involved, and just to be able to love on these kids and to make sure that they know that they're loved, that they know that they're cared for, and that they know that people are there for them, because it's not their fault. It's not their fault that this is going on in their lives right now.
No,
So
and they have no control over the outcome.
yeah.
So this is a great way for kids to know that they are never alone.
Hmm.
They never are alone in what they're going through, because it can feel very lonely to be taken away from your family and not knowing what's going on. And even though what may seem to us like a family life is very unstable, that's their family and their family
Yeah.
life, and it's very important to them. So it's very good for a child to know that they have somebody who understands and is on their side.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love that. Well, thank you so much for being willing to do that, and really leading that team, and training the volunteers and training the people to make sure that these kids are loved, that they're cared for, and they have someone fighting for them. Now I'd like to give you just a few minutes here to, I like doing this at the end of all the interviews, just give you an opportunity to share what's on your heart. If you would like, I give you a couple minutes here just to talk to our listeners directly and really share what's on your heart right now.
Okay. Um, I would love for everyone to take a minute to learn more about CASA. CASA is making such a huge impact in Northeast Tennessee, but we are a small program, so we're not widely known throughout the community. And we believe that our impact can be even greater the more the word gets out. So learn about us and tell your friends. Our best volunteers come when a volunteer tells their friends. So you learn about it, volunteer. You may not be ready to do it right now, but you may know someone who is, someone who maybe just retired and needs to fill their time. Just take a minute and learn about us. You can visit our website as well. casanetn.org is a good place to learn about us. Follow us on Facebook. We're very active on there. And just learn and share the information and help us get the word out so that we can impact the lives of more children.
Awesome. I love it. Well, thank you so much for being willing to share your heart on this, and really make sure people know about CASA, because that's definitely a big step right there. Like you were saying, it's just knowing about it and sharing about the good that you all are doing. Now I will link to everything in the description of this video. So if you're listening again, go to WCQR on YouTube, and you can go ahead and give them a call, send them an email or a Facebook message to get involved, or to at least just to get the word out. If that's all you can do, if you're stretched for time, you can at least share a post. You can follow along and see what all is going on right now, and the good that they are doing for the kids in our community. I mean, these are kids that your kids might be going to school with. These are the kids at their school, and you can be a difference in their lives to make sure that they know that they are loved, that they're not alone, and that people are fighting for them. So again, thank you, Wendy. I really appreciate you coming on
Yes.
the show
Thank you
today.
for the opportunity to come share about CASA.
Of course. All right, you have a good one.
Definitely good news.
Definitely.